I had never felt like this before. My heart was pounding, I was lightheaded, and I felt like I was going to vomit. But at the same time I was flawless. I had never felt better, and the whole walk to my house, only one thing, scratch that, one person, was stuck in my head. As I opened the front door to my house, something hit me. Not literally, but you know what I mean. I had nothing to wear tomorrow. My first instinct was to go to my mom and ask her for help, but she would not like the idea of a boy, so I went to Sally. "A party?" she asked, shaking her head. "I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry." "Oh, please, Sally, you don't understand how important this is to me." "Even if I do help you, I don't have a party dress just laying around. I'm sorry, Skye," she sighed. I walked out of her room without saying anything and slid against the wall to the ground. "Great," I sighed. "You okay?" Jack asked, sitting next to me. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." "Okay, I'm not, but I can't tell you why I'm not." "Okay, well, if you need me, I'm here for you," he said, standing up and walking away. "Wait, could I borrow some money?" I asked. "I'm a killer, Skye. I don't have money." "I guess you're right." I got up and went to my room and looked through all the stuff I had. Nothing looked even remotely nice to wear. The only things I had were shorts, jeans, and t-shirts. I was completely out of luck. I had no idea what I was going to do. Well, I had an idea, but like most of my ideas, I wasn't too proud of myself for what I came up with. I walked up to the store and was instantly taken away by how many cute party dresses there were. Every dress was stunning. I took a deep breath and walked into the store, trying not to draw too much attention to myself. Luckily for me, it seemed to be fairly busy that day in the store. "Can I help you?" a perky woman who looked much older than me asked. "Oh, no, I'm just looking around," I smiled innocently. "Well, if you need me, I'm here to help." She nodded and walked away. I sighed, feeling accomplished in not being noticed. I walked around for what seemed like hours before spotting a dress that was practically screaming at me to take it. It was a lacy black dress with a peach-coloured belt. Quickly, I walked over to it and checked to make sure no one was looking and stuffed it into my oversized purse. I looked around and saw that no one was looking and felt a rush of adrenaline hit me. There was just one last thing I needed to do to make sure no one suspected a thing. I walked all the way across the store and took a different dress. I walked up to an employee and asked if I could use the changing room. "Of course, come with me," she smiled, leading me to the back of the store. She unlocked the changing room door and then left. I locked the door and pulled out the black dress from my bag. I took off all the tags and found the things stores put on the clothes that will set the alarm off. I then grabbed some tools I brought with me that belonged to Jack and removed it easily. Then I put it in the other dress and stuffed my new dress back into my bag. As I walked out of the changing room, the employee approached me again. "How did the dress work for you?" she asked. "Well, it was a very lovely dress, but it didn't fit right and it's way out of my price range." I acted disappointed. "Let me find a cheaper one for you then," she insisted. "Oh, no, I have to be getting home now, but thanks for helping me," I smiled before leaving the store. I sighed in relief that no one caught me. I walked all the way home, feeling a tad guilty because of what I did. But hey, it's not as bad as what the rest of my family does every day. I walked into my bedroom and collapsed to the floor. I was exhausted and the day wasn't even over. I still had to try on my new dress and figure out how I was going to escape my house without my parents seeing how I looked. I stood up and lazily slouched into Sally's room. She looked at me and rolled her eyes. "What?" she asked, almost irritated. "Wow, someone's not in a good mood." "I'm sorry. I'm just not feeling too well," she sighed. "I'm sorry, Sally." No, it's not your fault. Anyway, what's up?" "I got a new dress." Her eyes grew huge and she smiled, her attitude completely changing. "What are we waiting for? Let's go see it." She grabbed my hand and raced to my room. Then she sat down on my bed with her legs crossed. She looked just like a kid on Christmas morning. I walked over to my bag and pulled it out. Sally's eyes grew even wider and twinkled when they saw it. "Skye, it's perfect," she gasped. "Have you tried it on yet?" I shook my head. "Then put it on." I did exactly what she said and put it on, and then looked in the mirror. For a person with low self-confidence, I actually thought I looked pretty good. "Wow," I announced. "Skye, you look beautiful," Sally said, and I twirled around in front of the mirror. "Did you steal it?" she asked. I stopped twirling and looked to the ground, feeling guilt consume me once more. Yeah," I stuttered. No, don't be ashamed. We all understand. But anyway, you look beautiful, she said before leaving the room. I stood there, looking at myself. I was disgusting. I turned away from the mirror. I was practically turning into them. I still wasn't as bad as them, and would make sure I never let myself get to that point. But what I did was still horrible. I took off the dress and put on my pajamas, getting into bed and feeling sick over what I had done. When I woke up, it was 1 p.m. the next morning. I felt a lot better. I got out of bed and got dressed in normal clothes, figuring I wouldn't have to get all dolled up until about 8. I practically skipped down the stairs to the living room, where I saw no one was there. "Hello?" I shouted. I got no reply. "They're probably just out killing. Nothing to worry about," I told myself. As the day went on, I didn't see anyone. It was especially strange because they didn't even leave a smile with me like they usually do when they all go out together, because I had already eaten and I literally had nothing else to do. I chilled on the couch to watch TV, and because I'm lazy, I drifted off to sleep and didn't wake up until about 7:30. I decided I might as well start getting ready since I had nothing better to do. I went up to my room and did my makeup a little fancier than normal, but nothing too different because I'm definitely not one for change. Then I straightened my naturally curly hair and put on my dress. I looked at the clock by the time I was done to see that it was 9. That took longer than I expected. I'm also not one for getting dressed quickly. Putting on some flats that matched my dress, I left and headed towards Brent's house. I approached Brent's house timidly, remembering the kiss we shared. "Remember, you don't like him," I told myself as I knocked on the door. 1 second, I heard Brent yell through the door. I rocked back and forth on my heels awkwardly, hoping I wasn't too horribly overdressed. But I had never been to a party before, so how the hell was I supposed to know? The door opened and Brent stood there. He was wearing a flannel shirt and tie with jeans. "Wow, Sky, you look beautiful," he said, stepping out of the house and grabbing my hand. I pulled it away. "Thanks," I blushed. "So, where are we going?" "The house is a couple miles away," he said, leading me to his car. "I call shotgun," I yelled, running to the passenger seat as he sat in the driver's seat. "Fine, but when I'm hammered you're driving me back," he laughed. "Don't you dare get drunk," I warned. "My parents can smell that shit from a mile away, and then we'll really be in trouble," I smirked. "Okay, so if I get drunk, how will they smell it on you? What were you planning on doing tonight?" He gave me a toothy grin. I blushed and shoved him. "You know what I mean." "I sure do," he winked. "You're gross," I laughed. He just shook his head and started driving. It was pretty awkward because neither of us knew what to say, so we just sat there in silence the whole car ride. When we showed up at the house, Brent opened the door for me and I got out. He then quickly grabbed my hand and walked me to the house. I was going to object, but gave up. We entered the house, which had music blaring and people dancing like lunatics. It was actually pretty funny. "Brent, hey buddy!" A guy with longish blonde hair and a huge smile came up to him. "Zach, this is my date, Sky," he nudged me. "Hi," I smiled. Zach winked and turned back to Brent. "Everyone's been looking for you. Go enjoy the party," he said, walking away. Brent and I walked more into the house. Relief washed over me when I saw that everybody was dressed up for the most part, and I wasn't sticking out. "Hey, I'll be right back. I have to go talk to someone," Brent shouted over the music, but quiet enough so that only I could hear. "Okay." He leaned down and kissed my cheek and then disappeared into the crowd. I sighed, not knowing what to do. I walked into the kitchen where a whole bunch of girls were sitting and drinking beers and giggling. Slowly their giggling turned to whispers and they started looking at me. "So you must be Brent's date?" One of the girls stood up. "Yeah? Why do you care?" "I told you he was settling for less," she turned and told her friends. They all giggled again. "I'm Ryan, by the way, Brent's ex." "Great. I could care less who you are," I spat back at her. "Aw, look girls, she's trying to be all tough," she laughed. "How old are you? 13? 14? I'm 15. How old are you? Because, sweetheart, you could use a facelift. Or 2. Comebacks weren't really my thing. When I got pissed off, no one could stop me. "Brent is 2 years older than you. You're pathetic." "You're just jealous that he picked me instead of you, so go cry me a river." I spat at her and walked away feeling like a badass. I walked around for a while, continuously getting glares from girls I didn't even know. The word must have gotten around. It had been about 20 minutes and I hadn't seen a sign of Brent. I saw a door leading to a porch that overlooked the woods. I figured I could just go and get some fresh air and clear my head and maybe get away from everyone. I opened the back door and stepped into the cool air. I felt good, considering it was so hot in the house. I walked into the woods and leaned against a tree. Where the hell is Brent? Why would he just leave me at a party like this? I sighed, thinking about what the girls had said. I really thought Brent liked me. I heard a noise coming from deeper into the woods. "Hello?" I called, standing up from under the tree. I got no response, of course. Taking a deep breath, I decided to investigate. The further I walked, the more uncomfortable I felt. It was like someone was watching me. "Sky, you've grown so much," a raspy voice whispered into my ear. I turned my head and saw blackness. "What the hell?" I screamed, trying to see anything. "What did you do to me?" "It's a simple drug." I could hear the joy in his voice. Suddenly, the world started to spin, and I fell to the ground. I was paralyzed and I couldn't see anything. As I started to slip out of consciousness, I felt my body being lifted and thrown over someone's shoulder.